There once lived a man named Job. He was known as a good, kind, and faithful man. He loved God, helped people, and lived a peaceful life with his family. Job was not only faithful, he was also blessed. He had many children, a successful life, and everything seemed to be going well. From the outside, Job's life looked perfect. But this story is not about a perfect life. It is about what happens when life suddenly falls apart, and how faith can still stand. One day, something unexpected happened. Everything Job depended on began to disappear. First, he lost his wealth. Then he lost his animals and servants. And then, the most painful thing of all, he lost his children. Imagine that moment. In a single day, Job lost almost everything he loved. Most people would ask, "Why me?" Most people would become angry, bitter, or hopeless. But Job did something different. Instead of cursing God, he fell to the ground and worshipped. He said, "I came into this world with nothing, and I will leave with nothing. God gave, and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." That response is shocking, because Job didn't pretend the pain wasn't real. He felt the loss deeply, but he chose faith instead of bitterness. Faith is not proven when life is easy. Faith is proven when life is hard. You might think the story ends there, but it doesn't. Job's suffering continued. He became very sick. Pain covered his body, and he sat in ashes, feeling broken and weak. Even his friends came and sat with him in silence. They saw his pain and didn't know what to say. After some time, those friends began to talk. But instead of encouraging him, they accused him. They said maybe this was happening because he did something wrong, that maybe he was being punished. This made Job even more confused because he knew he had tried to live a good life. He didn't understand why all this was happening. Have you ever felt that way? You try to do the right thing, you pray, you stay hopeful, but still, life becomes difficult. That is exactly where Job was. He asked deep questions. He cried. He wondered why God allowed all this suffering. But here is what is powerful. Job never stopped talking to God. Even in confusion, even in pain, he kept his connection with God. He didn't hide his feelings. He expressed them honestly. He showed that faith does not mean pretending to be strong all the time. Faith means staying connected to God even when you feel weak. It is okay to ask questions. It is okay to cry. But don't walk away from God when life hurts. Pain can either push us away from God or pull us closer to Him. Job chose to stay close. After a long season of suffering and confusion, something powerful happened. God finally spoke. But instead of giving Job a simple explanation, God reminded him of something deeper. He showed Job how big, wise, and powerful he is. He asked Job questions about the creation of the world, the stars, the oceans, and nature. In simple words, God was saying, "You may not understand everything happening right now, but I see the full picture." That moment changed Job's heart. He realized that even when life does not make sense, God is still in control. Sometimes we want quick answers. Why is this happening? When will this end? Why is my life so hard? But the story of Job teaches us that we may not always get clear answers, yet we can still trust that God sees what we cannot see. Faith does not mean understanding everything. Faith means trusting God when you don't understand anything. After all the pain, confusion, and testing, Job's story did not end in sorrow. It ended in restoration. God healed Job. He restored his health. He gave him new blessings and a new future. But the greatest restoration was not the wealth or success. It was Job's deeper relationship with God. At the beginning of the story, Job knew about God. But after going through suffering, Job truly experienced God in a deeper way. Sometimes the hardest seasons of life produce the strongest faith. Job's life teaches us that suffering is not always punishment. Sometimes it is preparation for deeper strength, deeper faith, and deeper purpose. If you are going through a difficult season right now, this story is for you. It reminds you that pain is not the end of your story. Loss is not the end of your journey, and confusion is not the end of your faith. Just like Job, you may not understand everything today, but one day you will look back and see that God was still present, even in the pain. So hold on, stay faithful, stay hopeful, because your story is not finished yet. Just as Job's life was restored, your strength can also be restored. Your joy can return, and your faith can grow stronger than ever before. Remember this simple truth. Even when life falls apart, God is still working behind the scenes, and in the end, faith will always have the final victory.